I have a huge heart, but I'm direct. I'm driven by testosterone and adrenaline. That's what makes me competitive. We're the ones in the CrossFit gyms.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Yo, man. Boom, it's Rusty. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Public Access Podcast, the podcast here on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. I'm your host, Rusty Diamond. Check me out, rustydiamond.net, popuphealing.net, hypnosisisgreat.com. Check out this show on YouTube or Rumble, or you can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts, probably. And this is episode number 608, 609, something. It's November 18th, I think, 2024. And I have my very special guest right here and right now. And my special guest right here and right now is Susan Robbins. So if you were going to change your name to anything, what would you change your name to?
Oh, start me off on that one, Rusty.
Yeah. Have you done it before?
I've been married a few times, so it changed
Okay.
there. But so legally I've had to, but wow. Now that's a good question. Maybe something spicy.
Like something spicy.
Yeah. I'm half Colombian. So we could get maybe pepper, and I'm a retired cop.
Pepper.
So let's go with pepper.
Pepper, the retired cop.
I used to have a guy
last name Spray, like Spreigh or something. Spree, I guess I'd be maybe Spree or SP, RAY. I don't know. Yeah. But so pepper.
Yeah, let's do pepper. Let's do pepper.
Pepper sounds cool. So I like it. My computer's going wild now. Now that you said pepper, I think that's some sort of word that the computer picks up where it doesn't know what to do, and it freezes up. It must be some former cop lingo that shuts down computers. Yeah. So pepper. Okay.
Yeah, we'll go with pepper. I never thought I did have a guy at CrossFit years ago when I was still an officer. He would see me and he'd call me Pepper as a joke, but I've never thought about it since then. And I'm talking like 12 years ago, probably.
What did he call you Pepper for? Is there a story behind the pepper?
Policewoman.
Okay. All right. So Pepper, the policewoman.
Yeah.
All right. So
now I would probably be the food Nazi.
The food Nazi. Make sure there's pepper. What's your take on pepper? Like
I don't do well with pepper. I don't do well with pepper. No, pepper makes me sneeze.
Okay, so you're like one of those like okay.
I'm not like anybody bizarre.
So that's good though. So okay, so if you don't do pepper, what's your substitute for a pepper kind of experience? Or do you do something that takes place of it, or are you just not pepper?
I'm all salt.
All salt. What kind of salt do you do?
I like the pink Himalayan, or the one I typically use is the Celtic sea salt. It's got more of the minerals in there. Yeah, I mean, I could stick my finger in salt and eat. I love salt. My blood pressure's low, so I can work with the salt. But I love salt. Pepper. When you go out to eat, they come around with a grinder.
You want some pepper.
I'm like, get it away from me.
Yeah.
Like, nope. But salt me all day long.
Yeah, waiting for the cheese guy to come along and
no, I don't do dairy.
You don't do dairy. You don't do pepper. Okay.
No pepper. No, I'm allergic to dairy.
You're
allergic to dairy, eggs, and I'm celiac. I'm a lot of fun to go eat with.
Okay, so what do you like? Let's say someone takes you out to somewhere, and you end up you end up like kind of stuck on something. Is there you have like a go-to you'll go for, or is it just
so I'm always protein and veggies. Protein and veggies are my main staples. I could do sweet potatoes. I love I just had a breakfast skillet with some bison breakfast sausage. and
Ooh,
some sweet potato and red and yellow and orange pepper and onion and garlic and some Bragg's like 24 seasoning. That was the bomb.
okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
I can
All right.
usually find something pretty much anywhere I go. I just have to communicate with wait staff, and that's what I tell people. Just when you have food issues, just communicate. And they're usually great working with you. I've had chefs make me things that weren't on the menu because of my stuff, and
Yeah.
it ended up being
That
better than anything on the menu. So it just, yeah, just be
and then
you.
maybe they can add it to the menu or at least know that you're coming in like,
See?
hey, someone did this for me one time, which
Yeah.
always goes over well with the waiters and waitresses when you say, yes, someone did this for me one time. The chef did it for me. Like, you're gonna do it again, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
you
no
get the eye
problem.
rolls.
Uh-huh.
They're like, ah, I just tell them when I sit down, I just say, look, I'm going to be your problem child, but I tip well.
That's good to know. I've gone to a tip when like I pay for everything at the beginning. I know what I'm gonna get. So like if I'm even if it's something like they bring the menu out to you, kind of a restaurant, and
Hmm.
they do that, I'll pay for everything right up front and give them a tip
Really?
because yeah, I've never gotten bad service after that, after tipping at the beginning of the meal. Uh,
Oh, I've never heard of that.
yeah,
That's
because
kind of
then
brilliant.
they know what they're getting into. They're not like because some people might see me and think, oh, this guy might not tip me at all. He doesn't look like he's gonna tip me, and then treat me kind of shitty. But if I go out there and I give them a nice tip right off the bat, they're gonna be treating me well the rest of the meal. And there's already that agreed
Wow.
upon
Yeah,
service
I love that.
exchange. Yeah, thank you.
I
Yeah.
love that, but I also don't like the preconception of this is what you look like. So, because you look like, hey, I want to go grab my surfboard, or I'm going to go up in the
I
mountains and go
wish.
chill, right? And
I
people think
wish.
this nice guy's not going to tip because his mountain bike is going to be more than his car, right? So
Right.
you think, right? So then you get, like you said, the shitty service, and that's so wrong.
I agree. I agree that's wrong, but it's kind of how it is, and until that
Yeah,
changes, which I don't know what the conversation would be to change it. It seems like we're more into preconceived notions of people now more than ever,
so
um,
true. Sadly,
which is hard, and it's a hard thing to get over for a lot of people, even for myself. Like I still have a bunch of preconceived notions of when I see someone. Some of the times it's right, but it's not every time. And some of
hmm
those like it's good to have those preconceived notions, but they aren't everything.
yeah,
Preconceived notions and stereotypes, they're both totally valid and true for some sense, but they're not
hmm
everything. They're not, and we need to remember that. And it's real easy to get into that. Everything is so like I've seen this pattern, like, but not every pattern sticks to the pattern the whole way through. There's that pattern
sure,
interrupt, and
sure.
it's an
Yep.
important part to all of that with just trying to, I don't know, find anything that's working. And
You you should write a book titled that, Pattern Interrupted. That just
pattern
sounds like it needs to be something.
I maybe that could be the one. I'm big into the pattern interrupt. That's I
That,
got taught
yeah.
that. Yeah, with hypnosis, the pattern interrupt is very important. Taking
Ah,
people
that's right. Because you
out of
do hypnotherapy.
yeah,
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 you would never look at you and go, hypnotherapist. I've had
right.
two hypnotherapists on my show, and both look like hypnotherapists.
Yep,
You
yep,
again outside the box thinking.
yeah. And I don't know, it's nice. It's sometimes nice to be that like, oh yeah, like that's not, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that I do where it's like, oh yeah, you don't look like you do that at all. Like that doesn't, you don't seem that, or like
Yeah.
a pro wrestler. Like people aren't going to be like, oh yeah, yeah, that's a pro wrestler right there for sure, 100%.
Yeah. Well, then no
And
one guessed me as a cop. I'm only
and
5'1". I'm
yeah,
5'1". I'm tiny. And nobody, when I had if my hair may be up and I didn't wear makeup or anything because I needed to kind of look the part.
Right.
But when I was normal or had makeup, nobody would, I'd say, what do you think I do? It never got guessed ever, which I
So
thought was good.
did you ever go undercover then with that kind of things
I
that make
did,
you better for that?
I did one time
Only,
because
oh,
of my size, because I'm
oh,
small.
yeah.
We had the state investigator this was in Montana, and it's called ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. And he
Okay.
was the
Oh,
lead investigator, and he was talking to one of our detectives that uh he had come across a guy in our little town that was after a 12-year-old in our town. And he needed someone to pose as this 12-year-old. And they thought about a woman who was a detective from another department. But I got a call, and the detective says to me, "Hey, you want to have some fun?" Well, yeah. Just
yeah.
tell me what. And he said, we were going to use the ICAC, head of ICAC. He wanted to use a different officer. And he said, but wait, we have someone in our department who's child size. Why don't we use her? She's even smaller. And so, yeah, we did the little sting. It was terrifying not having him meet me, but it was terrifying because I had to talk to him over the phone first. And as you
How does
hear, I don't sound like a child. So I
how's
had to
that
try
work?
to disguise my voice. And I told him I was sick because he's like, you sound different. I'd listened to tapes of her
Yeah.
recordings to try to emulate her mannerisms with her voice, her
What,
inflections and everything.
who is her? You don't have
The
to give me
12 year
a
old.
name.
Oh,
So
sorry. Yeah,
there was someone that they were actually, it wasn't like
no, it was a 12-year
trying.
old victim
Okay. I was thinking
that
like trying
that he
to
was
trap
communicating with.
someone into that.
No,
This is
no,
like this.
he,
Oh, fuck.
no, he
Okay.
was right. So he was communicating with this 12-year-old
Jeez.
through text messages. And so I got to listen to her,
Whoa.
some recordings of her, and I had to try to, listen to her voice and sound like her. And he said, you don't sound like you. Did you tell anybody about this? And I'm like, no, I'm just sick. My throat's really sore. And I'm like, I was sweating bullets. And because this was in the
Whoa.
car before I was going to get out to go walk to where he was supposed to meet me. And
Okay.
yeah, and it was just,
What?
the more I sat there, and I worked mostly with crimes against children for 10 years. I worked with public housing. And so I dealt a lot with child crime. And this was just vile, some of these things I'm thinking, he's saying these things to me thinking I'm 12 years old.
Right.
And so he had me meet him at the bench outside of the Safeway in town. And it was actually pretty cool. I put a hoodie on and sweats because if you saw my body, it's an hourglass. I don't look like a kid. So I had to wear
Right.
baggy stuff and put sunglasses on so you couldn't see my wrinkles. I put the hoodie up because I thought you could see wrinkles because this chick ain't 12 years old. And I sat on the bench and I just was kind of playing with the strings on my hoodie. And he approached me. And then
Whoa.
it was like you would see on TV because I never gotten to experience this in all my law enforcement career until that point. There were 5 cars came flying in at once and they jumped out. His name was Frank. And they said, Frank. And he turns around and 2 officers came over and grabbed me and pulled me away because they said they didn't want him to see me. Grabbed me, pulled me, and they threw him up against the front of the car, the hood of the car, and got him cuffed up and everything, and got to go to court for
Whoa.
that and testify. And he ended up getting in Montana. They had, if you had been convicted prior of a child sex abuse, it was a mandatory 100-year sentence. And so he got convicted. And then the best thing was he hung himself in jail. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
Took
you.
care of a
One
lot
less
of stuff
pieces
right
of
there.
shit. Like one less
Yeah.
of you pieces of shit out there. So
Yeah.
and the most profound part for me, I loved being a part of it, but the mother of this girl, like she had to listen to all the testimony, all these things that were being said to her child. And
Jesus.
she walked out at one point and I had to leave to go back on duty because I was sitting in the courtroom. And so I went to leave and she was standing out in the hallway and she came up to me and she just threw her arms around me and just hugged me and was like, thank you, and crying, thank you. And it's those kinds still touch me. I still get emotional.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a tough girl on the outside, but I'm all emotional on the inside. And that's why I retired early, because it was just too much after a while working with that all the time. But
Yeah, and that's a bunch taking all that. I mean, I couldn't even imagine any of that. And
but doing it was, you know, once we got into it was actually a fun thing to experience and know that you made a difference.
Yeah. Have you ever watched like YouTube people doing that? Like like sort of like what the Chris Hansen
Oh
thing
yeah, used to
was?
watch those all the time.
Yeah.
There's so many of them out there.
There's a lot. And some people now just go and beat the shit out of people. I've seen that too.
Oh
Which like what are they gonna do? You know, like they're like, okay, well, yeah. Someone just beat the shit out of me as I was going to meet up with a 12-year-old. Like, oh shit, okay, well, yeah, like that's fine. And
I would say thank you.
yeah, I would too. Because I mean that fucks up people like for generations.
No,
like,
that trauma.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hugely. And I deal with, I mean, that's what I work in, epigenetics now, right?
Okay.
So genetics, but yeah, the trauma plays a part.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, okay. So, because, yeah, I heard it's like within the DNA for, I wanted to say 3 generations at least, if not more.
If not more, who knows,
Yeah.
right? We just carry these things unless we can energetically release them.
Right.
Which I think plays a big part.
And how do you get someone to energetically release it when usually, for the most part, these people that experience this seem to be harder to track down or less likely, or are they less likely to show up and know that they want to work on this or know that that's even an option?
Yeah, I think energy work, and I'm certified Reiki. I haven't done Reiki, and I'll do Reiki on my pets, but I haven't done it on people. I used to do it on myself. But just like coaches need coaches, I work with other energy people to help me release my stuff. I just recently partnered up with a dear friend of mine who does body code and emotion code and belief code. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I don't know what that is.
You know, I should have him hook you up because me trying to explain it, I've experienced it. Cool. And it's fantastic. And I have sent a lot of clients to him, and we found that when people, he actually does the releasing for you. The body communicates, whether it's beliefs, trauma he's released, I know I've had clients say he's released trauma from their mothers that came to them, right? That you just hold on to. Like the book, The Body Keeps a Score, right? We hold on to trauma. It can manifest itself physically, emotionally. There's so many different ways. And so he goes in and communicates with the body with what it's willing, and the mind, what it's willing to let go of. So you don't really have to say anything. So we just met actually last weekend to put a program together with the both of us, because it allows all of my things to work better. When you can release things, everything flows more. So, but I think more people are starting to, because we used to be seen as foo-foo, right? Oh, this is foo-foo stuff.
I was going to ask you about that too.
Like, yeah, I'm all over the foo-foo.
what he's saying, like, that sounds like a bunch of bullshit. And like that's what I thought, and that's what I thought hypnosis was. That's what I thought Reiki was. Right? That's what I thought fucking yoga was. That's what I thought fucking energy work was. That's what I thought all those things were. And then I'm like, oh shit, like I fucked up for like having that preconceived notion of this is one of those things. Like, yeah, I'm glad I fucked up and I was wrong. I was totally wrong about this, and now I'm all behind it. And like, okay, yeah, this isn't bullshit. This is far from bullshit. This is doing stuff. Yeah,
it's huge. It's getting every aspect of you, mind, body, soul, right, and spiritual. So, and you, I mean, I think you're younger than I am, but I didn't get to this shit till I was 50. Okay. Right. So it's never too late. I'm a completely different person. I was just talking to my boyfriend this morning. We were talking about this, and I said, and it's how I'm epigenetically created. I'm very action oriented, go. And I didn't take the time to sit. I couldn't sit still. I couldn't stop my mind because I always had things to do. And so getting that calm, that finding that peace. And I said, I used to, if something would go not according to plan or something would happen, I said, now I have this peace in me that we're all where we're supposed to be at any given time. Everything's exactly as it's supposed to be. If that didn't happen, it's because I'm supposed to be somewhere else, and it's okay. Right. So like when we find that inner peace, and I think I mean, and being a hypnotherapist, you have to see the dark shit till you get to the good shit, right?
Yep.
And that's people don't want to do that. But when you do, it's so liberating.
But what I tell people is you you experience it one time when you're at your most relaxed, best place to experience it, and you do it, and then every time after that it's going to be less and less impactful. However, if you avoid it, it's going to probably pop up and you're going to be fucking dealing with being all fight or flight mode all the time
All
because
the
you have
time.
that as well. And then that's just creating all kinds of bullshit in your life that's unnecessary,
Truth.
but you don't know that. Like, you don't know that it's unnecessary at that time, or you can just work through it. Like, and it's so easy. And yeah, just like, oh, I'm not ready to work through it. Well, you're fucking doing something already. Like, you're already like working through it somewhat, because every time it comes up, you get, freaked out or
Yep, you're
triggered or
triggered.
whatever you want to call it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to help anyone. Like,
Yep.
just, and yeah, every time you avoid it, it comes back twice as strong.
Oh boy, does it. And that's where those generations come in, right? Because then
Right.
you bring it to your offspring, and then they bring it to their offspring, and it just doesn't stop.
Right.
It's just a cycle.
And a lot of people don't know that part of it too. Like, I don't know how much shit I carried from my parents and they carried from their parents. And like, I'm working a lot of things out right now, and I don't know how much of it's from them, but like, there's that. And I don't have any kids, but like, um, so I'm not, but there's people I interact with that
Mhm.
it's not going to be maybe energetically passed down, but not, um,
Genetically, right?
genetically passed
Yeah,
down. Yeah,
yeah,
more just
yeah.
energetically passed down.
Yeah, I don't have kids either, which was probably a blessing with all that I dealt with. And I
Right.
know my mother had a lot of trauma, and her mother, and I know that I picked up a lot of that. And I said, you know what? It doesn't matter whether I have kids or not, but the cycle stops with
Yep.
me now.
That's
Done, right? And that's the
yeah.
thing. We have that control to say it stops here.
Yeah. And there's plenty of other, like, yeah, it's okay. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to say, "Ah, I'm not gonna keep that cycle going,"
Yep.
because and I mean there's plenty where it's just I was like, it would have been terrible. Like, I just yeah, found out like, I don't know, like, there was a situation where I was talking about that, like, if 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 I had kids, or like what any of that would have been like. And like, no, it was good. It was really good that chose the other way. And
Same.
yeah.
I would have fucked them up.
Yep. Yeah.
Back in
And
the day,
like, and to
I
know
said there was
that.
a reason I was not, my soul did not plan to have kids. There was a
Yeah.
reason. The lessons I was supposed to learn, I'm
Yep.
glad I did not bring to a child.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
it's so I mean, like, they don't have any control over it. And there's a lot of people. I don't know how many people have kids that have passed down shit to their kids. I don't know
Oh,
who's had kids that has never
it's a
passed
lot.
anything down to their kids, any of that trauma or PTSD that's just ingrained in them, and
Hmm.
they don't know why they're afraid of spiders, or they don't
Yeah.
know why they're afraid
Water,
of water.
heights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't fucking know.
Look, here's a
But
question for you. I'm going to interview
yeah,
you for a second. Have you, in your hypnotherapy, have you ever had anyone in a session have a past life regression?
I love doing them. I do them a lot. It's crazy in hypnosis. So I'm working right now with a friend. Right now we have like a collective right now. There's four of us. Um, and one of them is like a Reiki, and she does like color puncture, which is sort of like acupuncture,
Oh,
but with
wow.
like directed, I don't
Like
know,
the
directed
LED
beams of
lights?
light.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
there's some sort of lights, yeah, that are
Oh, I
on these
love it.
little things on then. So it's just like basically acupuncture points, but with light. And we've been working together on figuring out putting the hypnosis with how she does it for the past life, because they're both different ways of how they're experienced. So like we're both doing it kind of with each other so we can figure out a way to both have that experience and then both be able to take what
Yeah.
we know to be able to put that together, like what you were saying. It
Yeah. Yeah.
it's it's all about stacking modalities of healing, and that's something that
So
I've
it works.
gotten way into. And but yeah, past lives, that was like I use it too for people that have writer's block. Because
Oh.
you're gonna have something's gonna pop up, you're gonna get a full story in your head. Um, and like sometimes, so what happens when I do past lives is I get them into the relaxed state and all
Hmm.
that stuff, and then take them to an event when they're like 12, 13, 14, and go through that, re-experience that. And then something like when they're 3, 4, or 5. And then like sometimes, but in those times though, there are people that need to work something out, and the whole session ends up being about working through that, which is usually something that's very important. And then next time
Hmm.
we can go into going into past lives and just kind of like start from there. But those things need to be taken care of first and need to be addressed, and then can go into past lives and do, usually between 1 and 3 of them. And you
Oh,
know it,
wow.
yeah. And so um but it's crazy, like you just everything comes to you like in vivid pictures. Like the first one I did, I found out like I was a shaman in New Mexico in like the 18 late 1800s was one of them. I was a lizard in prehistoric times.
You're kidding.
No, and you also get to find out how you die, but then with that, like you end up with this message of like what the message that this past life wants to give to you,
Hmm.
that you get when this person dies. And yeah, like that one, I got crushed. I forgot how I died as the shaman. It was like I don't know, it was 6, 7 years ago now. So like I remember some
Yeah.
of it, but and
Yeah.
there was a third one, but I don't remember what it was. But it's so cool to just see. And then like people who have, um, especially if you can work with someone who has uh birthmarks, that's kind of fun. If you find someone who has a birthmark, that's usually a place where they got killed in a past life.
No
Uh,
way.
yeah. Yeah. So like that's a fun one. That's a real fun one. Like sought out people that
Yeah, I
had
had no
birthmarks
idea.
for a while when I was doing that. When I kind of first started. Like sorry. Oh, I someone had one on their neck, and I think they got an arrow through their neck in one of their past lives when they died. And
If there's any way you're gonna pick to go,
yeah,
arrow
yeah.
to the neck,
And
not the way.
it all just appears in your head, and it's the weirdest shit, and like I can't explain it enough, like that, like how vivid it is. Like I'll tell people, look down, what are you wearing, what do you see around you, do you see any people, do you know these
Yeah.
people, what is your name, what are their names, like can you tell what time period you're in, can you follow this path to whatever's going on, can you go see what's going on and wherever. And it's fascinating. I love doing it because like the first time someone gets that first visualization in their head, you can just sort of see in their with their eyes closed, their minds being blown. Like there's a smile, and then just yeah, like yeah, holy shit! Like what am I
Yeah.
seeing here? Like I can't believe it. But that's my long answer to your very short question of have I ever experienced past life regression? Have you done anything with it?
I did, but it wasn't intentional. I was doing hypnosis for sports injury
Okay,
and to help
interesting.
with the pain and recovery and stuff. And we were trying to figure out why, because I said my sleep is impacted. I'm up at 3:30 every day, like clockwork. It was driving me crazy. And she said, well, let's go try to figure this out. She kept asking me what I saw, and I can remember some of this, and she kept telling, and I said, nothing. It's like gray. All I see is gray. And I didn't remember until she told me afterwards. She said, you said it looked like a funnel. Well, I was in a tornado. But I
Okay.
said, she kept asking me, well, go further, go further. What do you see? Because I'm like, all I see is
Yep.
gray. And I remember, like you said, that light bulb comes on because you're aware, you're out of it, you're in that trance, but you're aware. There's nothing you can do about it. So,
Yeah.
right.
Just
And
watching.
yeah. And she said, what do you see? And I remember like going, I'm at a party. And she's like, you're at a party? And it was the men were coming in, they had top hats on. And I knew it was me.
Yeah.
Didn't look like I do now, but I knew it was me.
Right.
And I saw the person and man across from me and these eyes, I'll never forget these eyes. And it was just such a look of love. And I knew that was my man. And
Yeah.
she said, go, and I described the room we were in and all this. And I was in one of, the gown. I think it was like early 1900s, late 1800s kind of thing. And then she said, I'd go further. And it was the worst feeling. I just felt like I was trapped. And I said, I can't get out. I can't get out. And she's like, keep finding a way out. And I said, can't breathe. And I came out and we were in a barn and there had been a tornado. And there was
Whoa.
that man
Yeah.
and he was impaled.
Whoa.
And I was there screaming, like, help, help,
Yeah.
and then she said, go further. And there I was on this white horse, riding side saddle, up on the top of a mountain and just sobbing that I lost the love of my life. And then she
Yeah.
had me keep going further. And then I saw myself on my deathbed. I was totally alone. I could picture the bed, the bedroom, how I felt. And the interesting thing, I'm from New Jersey originally, and I came to visit someone in Denver, 1995. And I got off the plane. And I remember because it was a little puddle jumper that came from Colorado Springs. So you had to walk on the tarmac, into
Oh,
the
okay.
terminal.
Yeah.
And I'm walking on there and just something said to me, you need to be here. The mountains just said something to me. And I was living in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the time. And I went back to my job and I said, are there any openings in Denver? Because if so, I want to transfer. If not, I'm leaving. And they moved me out a few months later. And that's how I got out here. And then I left for 15 years, went to Montana, came back because I needed to be here. And I've been told by other intuitives, and I've never had another past life because I haven't done that. I would love to explore that further because I know I've lived a lot
Yeah.
of lives. And it was, and I remember I remember that feeling the tears just flowing, but I couldn't do anything about them. So they just had to flow. And when she got me out of it, I was just soaked. It was crazy. It was a very emotional experience.
But that's a
But
very uh important experience, and that's a lot you
yeah.
process through that,
Yeah.
that you're able to make yourself a lot stronger and more developed now because you experience that and you have a lot more knowledge about yourself and why,
Oh yeah.
why things are the way they are. And
I never
it's
woke
not
up at
bullshit.
3:30 like that again. That pattern, there's a pattern that's not
Pattern
anymore,
interrupts.
right? And pattern interrupted.
Pattern interrupted.
See?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you need to write the book.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. The pattern was interrupted a different way. And yeah, I think it's just fascinating stuff. Now I'm into like listening to about soul plans, and it just there's so much that makes sense. And what I do now is help people understand themselves on a biological level, how they're created, right?
What do you mean?
And to learn to be authentic. be how they were authentically created. So I do DNA testing, which your DNA is your blueprint, right? You get this from mom and dad. This is the genetic blueprint, but we have control over about 95% of how it actually expresses. So we're turning, like there's genes turning on and off as we're talking, right?
What do you mean?
So epigenetics is how your lifestyle and your environment affect how your DNA expresses. So we all have some good stuff. We all have some shit. And the shit we don't want to express, right? We want to dial that back. So it all comes down to environment and the choices you make. So for instance, I have an increased risk for Alzheimer's in my genetics. I found out 5 years ago, 2019, almost 6 years ago. And so I know for this ApoE4 gene that saturated fat's an issue. I know that alcohol is an issue, even moderate alcohol, not recommended. I quit cold turkey the day I saw that. Whoa. So I don't drink. I'm just like, there's no Malbec from Argentina that tastes as good as having my wits about me when I hit my 60s, right? Like this is how you make choices, right? How do I want to be? So when we look at DNA is probabilities and propensities. So what I work with is how do we make the right decisions to work with the expression? When you have a gene that's a very good gene, say you're very low risk for something, you want to keep that where it is. So you want to make choices with, it's all lifestyle. Everything's lifestyle. The choices we make with lifestyle dictate everything, like so much. There's only like 2% of genetic mutations that occur that we can't work with, but the rest we work with.
How do you find that out?
So DNA testing, it's the swab, the cheek swab. So, but I mean, people here, you do the 23andMe, Ancestry.
Okay.
Now they're ancestral based. So it's the same thing though. You're doing the cheek swab, goes in a little test tube, you send it in, and then you get your results back. Okay. And it'll tell you different, theirs are going to tell you predominantly your part this and this and this, right?
Yeah.
The SNPs that we look at, the different genes that we look at, or that with what I test for, are all lifestyle driven. So we look at things for Alzheimer's. We look at things for cardiovascular disease, for cognitive. How do you process saturated fats? How do you, because all these people are doing keto and carnivore and they're eating sticks of fucking butter. And I just cringe because I've seen more people than not that don't actually process saturated fats really well. And you look at different genetic SNPs that could affect blood sugar. That could affect cardiovascular disease. It could affect major SNPs for it that are inflammation, which causes disease, right?
Yeah.
So
do you look at blood type too?
No. The blood type hasn't been found to be enough to really work with. But so I use it. So, okay, so I'm kind of unique. I do the DNA testing, but then I use another epigenetic platform. It's based out of Australia. It's called PH360. The app is Shae, SHAE, if anybody wants to look it up. But this looks at how you're formed in the womb and the predominant hormones that drive you. This is our phenotype. Your phenotype is how your genes are currently expressing. So I say I've got the blueprint. This is stuff we're looking at happening. And then we have your user manual, which is everything you need for according to what's expressing right now and where you want to be. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So the PH360, where the DNA is the cheek swab, and we're actually looking at specific genes there. The PH360, when we do an onboarding, it takes about 90 minutes. I just did it on my boyfriend last night because I said it's driving me crazy. There's 6 health types, and I thought I knew what he was. But I said, we have to onboard you because I need to know, because then I know I understand how he thinks. I understand what drives him, right? We're similar, but yet our minds are completely different. And by understanding that, helping him understand me and let me be authentically me and he being authentically him, it's a whole different type of relationship, right?
Absolutely.
And so with the PH360, we do measurements, but we measure things like your hands. Your hand size, your palm, your whole hand, your neck, your skull, your jaw, your feet, rib cage. I mean, things that you wouldn't think about, but even diabetes, a big indicator is neck. But we're looking at bone structure. So it's got 15 layers of science. And so this algorithm, as you're going through you're inputting the measurements in, and then there's an extensive questionnaire, health things, so a little bit of ancestry, where you want to be. Do you want to lose fat, gain muscle? How active are you? Do you want to maintain shape and size? All of this information is input, and the algorithm is saying, this is where this body needs support at this time. And so it creates a profile by the end that's unique to anybody else in the world. So we have your unique DNA, your unique profile that will kick out a list of foods based on nutrient density, not this carbs, protein, fat bullshit, but what are the nutrients that your body needs to get it in balance according to what you're dealing with. So it lists the nutrients from highest to lowest and gives you a list. And then the most important thing of all of it is timing. And that's something no one talks about. Are you doing the right things, whether it's eating, sleeping, training, thinking, being creative at the right times for you to be optimal? If you're doing the right things at the wrong time, you're still doing the wrong things, and that can throw off your hormones, which affects longevity and your body, the ability to be optimal. So what I do is very different. And that's why I started my podcast, to bring this out, because no one knows about this shit over here.
Yeah. So what chose you to veer from the norm? Or what got you to veer from the norm on that?
So I started out as basic holistic health coach, went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, IIN, and I had a 6-month program at the time, 12 coaching sessions with people. And you're, throwing the pasta at the wall to see what sticks, because you're playing a guessing game. Right? Let's eliminate this and see how it goes. And I coached everybody paleo at the time because I thought it gets you off all the crap. And I would have people feel better and see some results, and then other people that feel good for a bit, and then they didn't. And I'm a big performer, or I'm all about performance. And I thought for myself and for my clients, feeling good isn't good enough. Like, everybody would feel good because you're getting off the crap, right? And you're moving your body.
Yeah.
But why did it work for some and when it worked for others? So I came across the DNA first in 2019 at Paleo FX, and it was a group called Apiron at the time, Apiron Zoe. And I was thinking about functional health coaching, functional medicine health coaching, but everybody's doing that. And I said, there's plenty of functional practitioners out there. I don't need to overlap with them. I want something different. So I saw the DNA and I thought, no one's doing this. And I had them show me one example of someone saying, I don't eat any grains. Well, your DNA shows that you should do well with grains. And yet this person had major childhood trauma, which affects these specific genes where they could be intolerant to grains. And I said, okay, I need to try. This is now we're barking up the right tree. Yeah. So I got certified to do the DNA testing and DNA interpretation. And then, we're talking about partnering here. And I love partnering up with people. When you have two people synergetically driven towards the same goal, I mean, it's a thing of beauty, right? Yeah. And you see 222s coming up everywhere. You're on the right track, right? Yeah. So I found this other group. They reached out to me to be the DNA person in this group, trying to put together a program for high-powered athletes. Cool. And then they had this PH360. And I said, it's an app and it's online. I'm far superior because I do DNA. This is stupid, right? This is bullshit. Yeah. And I met with my coach day one, who's the CEO, Cam McDonald. He's phenomenal. And first thing he says to me, so how you feeling? I said, well, I'm carrying a little bit of extra body fat. I've been doing CrossFit for a decade. I'm tired. My workouts aren't that great. I don't know what's going on. I'm doing everything according to my DNA. And he said, well, when do you eat breakfast? And I said, I don't. I've been intermittent fasting for a year because that's what you're supposed to do. So I ate around noon or 1 after CrossFit. And he said, oh, no, you're an activator. That's one of the 6 health types. And he said, mate, you're made for movement, and you need to stoke that movement, the fuel, 5-6 times a day. And I go, oh, no, I'm good with twice a day. And he said, well, that's why you are how you are. you going to use this platform or not? I'm like, because we were all supposed to guinea pig on each
Yep.
other's things, right? To put together. I was
Great.
shit. All right, I'll use it.
Yep.
And I started feeling better. And I found out I lived my life. I worked graveyards when I was a cop. Like I thought I was a night owl all my life. So 54 years, I lived like a night owl. I'm a morning person.
That's what happened
Didn't
with
know.
me too. And
Doing
now
CrossFit at night.
yeah,
Right?
now
Like,
I wake up with the sun or before the
yeah,
sun.
now I do. And I'm like this all day. It's creepy. But then
Yeah.
7 o'clock comes around. I'm tired. Before it was
Yep.
the opposite,
Me
right?
too.
And I drove myself into the ground. I had the high stress job as a cop and blah, blah, blah. I'd go on forever. But anyway, long story short, we still had to tweak it a little bit because I have a big secondary as what we call a connector. I was right on
Yep.
that cusp, and they're really sensitive to starches, especially at night, sugars. And that's when I would eat my sweet potato to fuel me for my morning CrossFit. And he said, cut that out. Let's do that all that before lunch. Just have protein and veggies at night. I dropped 11 pounds in that month, and I wasn't big to begin with. I was like 122. I went out down to 111 pounds. I haven't been 111 pounds since 6th grade. I was a short, chunky girl. And I was blown away. I was blown away. And then as I started looking more into it, I said, do you have coaches? And he said, yeah, we have like over 1,000 of them, but the majority are, Australia, New Zealand, other countries too, but hardly anybody in the States.
Beautiful.
And so took the course, and I became their largest growing coach in history. I got coach of the year out of over 1,000 coaches last year.
Congratulations.
I eat, sleep, breathe it. And when you understand how your body and your mind work, what drives you, why you are how you are, because we're always apologizing for how I'm direct. I talk. I'm loud, right? You're too much, Susan. Bracket it down. Your delivery sucks. I have a huge heart, but I'm direct. I'm driven by testosterone and adrenaline. That's what makes me competitive. We're the ones in the CrossFit gyms.
You will sleep better than you have ever slept. You've never been this relaxed. Are you ready to change your life? I'm Rusty Diamond, certified hypnotist. You don't need to leave your house. You can stay in your bed. You can stay in your favorite chair.
You just need a computer or your phone.
You can get a hold of me. Stay at home. I'll make your life better.
Hypnosisisgreat.com.
Yeah.
Where's the whiteboard? I need to know what I need to do, right? Very just driven that way, action oriented. And I apologize for that all my life. Now I don't. My circle has changed vastly.
That's all right.
And I don't care because I'm me, right?
Yep.
And so I help people understand who they are and throw that shit out the window of being who anybody or anything wants them to be authentic and do all the things at the right times for them. And the changes in people are phenomenal. How they start to evolve, and they say, God, I feel like I have permission to be me for the first time. Why do we need permission? But that's how we live life.
Yeah. It's only, you don't need to ask permission. You just already do it. And you just have to find out that that is.
That's who I am.
That's what I'm supposed to be doing. That's who I am. Yeah.
That's who I am. Yeah.
Have you ever done the birth charts as well? Like that was something that I had.
Which one's that?
So like you go and you input, I don't know how to explain this.
I've done so many things, Rusty.
Yeah. No,
is this like the manifester, that one?
Kind of, yeah, I think I'm not sure, but like you go and you put in
astrology.
Not quite astrology, but it seems kind of like astrology. But I found that one to be pretty accurate. I
think we're talking about the same thing.
I think we are too.
Yeah.
And so yeah, something of that nature. And
yeah.
I don't know. It's again, I was like, oh yeah, this is fucking stupid. Like, but then I was wrong. So great. I love feeling stupid, and I love feeling wrong. And like, if you
get proved.
If you don't like that, then you're probably not growing at all, and you're not evolving.
Amen, brother.
If you don't like that shit. So if people are ready to do that and evolve and grow, how are they going to find you? How are they going to work with you? How can they listen to your podcast?
Oh, sure. So my podcast, I am not the science deep dive. Okay. There's plenty. You got Huberman, Sinclair, Atia. That's not me. You lose me with too much detail, too much science. I am action oriented. And so I wanted to bring my people information to be action oriented. So my podcast is called Everyday Epigenetics, raw, real, relatable. Because you never know what's going to come out of my mouth or my guest's mouth. Like this is so comfortable because I'm totally myself here. And that's how I want people to be on my podcast. I say, you have to have fun. You have to be you, right? Let go, let flow. And it's real. And then relatable. I want it to be relatable to the everyday person just looking to learn about how lifestyle and environment affect how our genes express. So that's what it is. Everything lifestyle and environment, how it affects our expression. And new episodes drop every Monday. You can go to everydayepigenetics.co, not .com. It's also on my website, which is Healthy Awakening. Only one awakening. Okay. So I say no S at the end. Everybody thinks it's awakening. So I go, no, you get one big one. So it's healthyawakening.co.
Yeah.
You can reach me there. You can set up. All my consults are free. It has to be a fit for both of us to work together. I've worked with people who are kind of like, and I'm sure you have kind of half-assed on what they want to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yep.
You have to be ready to make changes and do the work. But the beauty of it is it's precision health. That's what it is. Personalized precision health. Where I told you I was doing programs that were 6 months long before, I still have some that are longer. Some people just are slower. They take time. But the majority I'm down to 3 months. I can dial in the guesswork. There's such minimal guesswork unless they have, an allergy to something we're not sure about, or a sensitivity. But otherwise, it's so precise that a lot of times we can do it in 6 sessions. But it has to be a fit both ways. My consults are completely free. So they can reach me through the website or the podcast. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. All of that is on my website as well. My Instagram is Susan Robbins _epigenetic coach. It's a lot to punch in, but it's there.
It is. But you know what? You can also go on to this episode. You can scroll down and you can just click that link in there too. And that's probably just as easy. Make it easy to get a hold of you.
Yeah, totally. And there's new things coming out. I've got the program. My friend's name is Kelly Stout, who does the body code and emotion code. He's with Colorado Bioenergetics is his business. And so we're going to be launching programs that contain both of our things. Awesome. That's coming out pretty quickly here. And I do DNA testing solo. I can work with the PH360 on its own, but if you want to really get optimized, then I do the two together. And that's where the gold is.
If someone has done the what's it
DNA?
Called? Yeah, the DNA, like the whatever those not ancestry, but the 23andMe or something. Like if they have that and they bring that to you, would they have to get a different testing, or would that be enough information from that?
I will tell you, I contract on the side a couple days a week with a thyroid hormone specialist. She's got a huge podcast, and a lot of her patients that I work with have had different DNA testing done. And I will look at those. The majority, so when you have ones that are ancestry based, don't use those. They're not going to have the quality assurance. A lot of those, like that ApoE gene that I talked about with the Alzheimer's, very, very difficult to type. And my lab has just the utmost quality assurance there. When I did the woman I contract with, I did her DNA on her program. And I went through her DNA from a big company that is lifestyle based like mine is.
Yeah. They
typed it incorrectly. When I saw it come up as the high risk for mine, I went to the lab and I said, whose is right? Because somebody's obviously wrong. And they went to the 99.9% that we were spot on by showing me. They sent me the pictures of where the cells fell in on the circles of where they would come out to be. And it was without a doubt, an ApoE4. And that was a big company that did it. And so I tell people, not all DNA is created the same. and I will put mine up against anybody's, and we're constantly coming out with new panels. So I have ones that are just cognitive, just cardiovascular. For skin, we have alcohol, cannabis. How do you work with that? Like there's, and we're always doing research to bring out new information. So my old reports, or a report, if someone has a report, they have an online report, and you go to it to pull it up and it'll say update report. That means something new just came in. There might be a new gene that was added.
Okay.
Something new to a panel. So it's always updated with current research. It's pretty awesome stuff. So I don't recommend using, if you really want to dive into lifestyle, you're not going to get those snips that we really want to see to deep dive from a 23andMe, from an Ancestry. They're just, you can input that DNA, that raw data, into things like Genetic Genie, Prometheus, and they'll kick out a bunch, but they usually, there's things missing and they just don't go in depth. So I'll use them to whatever degree they want me to. Yeah. But again, I think if you're going to spend the money and do it right. Usually you just get the DNA kit in the mail. When someone works with me and we do their DNA, we have a 90-minute session. If they're doing 3 panels, we have a 90-minute session to actually go over it and ask them, is this what you're experiencing, or what are you experiencing here? Because we want to see what's expressing. Then I can recommend specific supplements. Don't have the damn supplement graveyard where you're taking a bunch of shit you don't need. You want to take what you actually do need. Don't waste all this money. What are the lab tests I recommend? Like, list all that out. Where do we need to dig deeper according to what we're seeing and what you're experiencing? So I take it that extra step. So not all is created equally.
And so 23andMe, Ancestry. Fuck you.
Yeah.
So
it's coming to with the Ancestry part of it. Then it's not. Then it's the unfuck you.
.com. So
you're awesome, Rusty.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Susan, for coming on the show, and we'll get you back. And if you can, if you need a guest ever, and I fit into that, let me know.
I would love to have you on. I think would be
probably be like this. So
I would love that, because I'd love to hear more about what you do with these experiences and the past life. And can you work with people anywhere as well?
Oh yeah. That was like part of my first thing that I did. I had an office for less than a year, and then I started doing online, and I was just like, people don't have to go to an office now. They can sit at home. They don't have to come to no matter how comfortable I can make a place, it's not always comfortable to everybody else. Like they can sit in their own chair that's got boogers and Cheetos all over it that they love. And that's fine. That's cool. That's their spot. They can go out, sit in the woods if they want. I don't give a shit. They're going to go to their place that they're happy. And they don't have to drive anywhere. They're just, they're set. And so, I'm all for that. So
I love it.
Cool. Well, Susan, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And
you too. Have a happy Thanksgiving. I'll shoot you a message with my schedule, and let's reconnect and do this again, because this has been awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. Very grateful. I appreciate it. All right. Take care, Rusty. Bye.
Too. Bye. All right. Susan Robbins, you guys check her out. Do that. Check her out. Check me out, rustydiamond.net. hypnosisisgreat.com, popuphealing.net. Any of those, I don't give a shit. They're easy to find. Easy to find me. You can find all my links, all my stuff. You want to go get a float in a float tank with a hypnosis on it, you can go to Princeton, New Jersey. You can go to Westchester, Pennsylvania, and you can go to East Coast Float Spa, asking for the Rusty Diamond special. I don't know if that's what they call it, but just, if you say that, they'll fucking figure it out. So thank you, everyone, for being here on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. And that is the show, man. Boom!
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.